Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Volfie from our Half Acre Homestead. Today is Friday, July 31st, 2015. Now, this is not your usual update. Over the last few years, I have had so many people ask us, how did Howie and I meet? When did we get married? How long we've been together? All that stuff. Well, today is our legal wedding anniversary. Now, the reason I say it's our legal wedding anniversary is because Howie and I met June 2nd, 1990. And a month later, on July 4th, 1990, we had what is called a hand fasting. It's an old Scottish tradition. Long story short, we had witnesses, we declared ourselves married, we jumped a broom, voila. As far as we were concerned, we were married. The engagement ring and everything came later. But in February 1993, Briar was born. So at this point in our lives, we've been together 3 years, almost 3 years. We have one son from when we met. Arthur was 2. And now Briar's been born. And my mother-in-law has put her foot down. We need to get legally married. So Nan had her way and we got married. Very simple backyard wedding, but that day was July 31st, 1993. So if you hear me say, you know, we've been married 25 years, up here and in here we've been married 25 years, but on paper it's been 22 years as of today. Now, I'm going to give you a brief history. Like I said, we declared ourselves married. But I'll tell you something. When I met him on June 2nd, 1990, I had met him before, like 8 years before, and I didn't remember, okay? I met him when I was about 18, so I'm not even going to try and figure out, probably 1982, 83, somewhere around there. And he was 14 or 15 when we met. And I don't remember meeting him, or I didn't remember meeting him because he had changed so much. But I was at an Apsley dance, and he'd asked me to dance, and the light being dim, I didn't see how young he was until we got on the dance floor, and he came on to me. He was drunk. He was 14 or 15 years old, and I told him that I appreciated the accolade, but to come back in a few years. He was a little bit on the young side for me. So when we met, and I got to tell you, it was not an auspicious beginning. My son Arthur was gone with his father and his father's girlfriend for the day. And I was taking the opportunity, it was a Saturday, I was taking the opportunity to clean my house. And my neighbor from down the hall, we lived in townhouses, she came down the hall with an empty cup of coffee in her hand, in her bathrobe. And she was obviously somewhat hungover, and she come in saying, "Coffee, please, coffee." So I made her a cup of coffee, and she sat down, and this was about 9:30 in the morning. And I said, "So what's up?" She said, "Oh, you got to meet Howie. Bev, he needs a woman who will take a bird in with a broken wing." I went, forget it. I am through fixing men so that they can go back to their girlfriends. Not having anything to do with it. I'm happy just the way I am. Thank you very much. And she knew right then and there that talking to me was going to be useless. So later on, about an hour later, she called me and said, "What are you up to?" And I said, "I'm just finishing washing my floors." And she said, "Well, why don't you come over?" Excuse me. She said, "Why don't you come over for a cup of coffee while they dry?" And I went, "Nice try, Carrie. Nice try. It's not going to happen." She said, "Bev, they had to work today. They're not here." And I went, "Oh, okay." Meaning Howie and her husband, because I guess Howie had come there the night before after work with her husband, and they'd partied half the night. So I went over, and I took my cup of tea with me, and I no sooner sat down on the couch when Howie and her husband Rod walked in. And I looked at her, and she said, "Well, they weren't here." And they do have to work today. But they had to go to the store and get some coffee cream. So, here was Howie in his work clothes from the night before, eating pepperettes and drinking chocolate milk. And I said, very nice to meet you. And I got up and I left, and that was it. Until later that night, she said, come on, Bev, we need a fourth for euchre. Bring your son over. We're only 2 doors down. Have some euchre. Or play some euchre. And that was, Howie pulled a trick off the table. It's a card game. He pulled a trick off the table and pulled my butt out of the fire, and we won the game. And I told him, I said, I can kiss you for that. And he came across the coffee table and he kissed my cheek. And I'll never forget the feeling. I had to get up and leave the room. Carrie was laughing her head off because I was blushing and stammering. And this cool, confident woman had met her match. So, now you know the rest of the story. Who knows how long I've loved you? You know I love you still. Will I wait a lonely lifetime? If you want me to, I will. For if I ever saw you, I didn't catch your name, but it never really mattered. I will always feel the same. Love you forever and forever. Love you with all my heart. Love you whenever we're together. Love you when we're apart. And when at last I find you, your song will fill the air. Sing it loud so I can hear you. Make it easy to be near you. For the things you do endear you to me. Oh, you know I will. I will. Happy anniversary, baby. It's been 25 years, and I'll love you for a million more.